Hello, listeners.
Hi, listeners.
This isn't the episode we planned.
No, tonight we had already planned to meet and record an episode on Sadgati, and obviously things have changed. There was news that came out yesterday about the passing of our dearly beloved David Lynch, and we felt like we couldn't really get into the right headset to really focus on the levity of Sadgati right now. And we really just wanted to do sort of a memorial piece for David and just talk about some of the things we really loved about him and the ways we're going to hold on to him.
Absolutely. And we don't have a plan or a structure. Mm-mm. We're just sitting here on the floor, surrounded by books.
In the book house.
And we're going to talk about how much we love David Lynch. And we're glad you're here to listen.
We are very glad you're here. And we're glad that if there's one good thing that has come out of this, I feel like it's the community has come together so much. We were just talking about how we got so many messages from friends and loved ones, whether they were in the community or not, just folks reaching out to check on us yesterday and check in. Okay, sorry listeners. I live in an apartment. I think we've mentioned this before. I live in an apartment in the city, and my neighbors are being extra loud today, but we really wanted to record because it felt important. So we're still going to.
Yes.
And if you hear a lot of background sound, that if you want, you can turn up the volume and try to really listen in on their conversation, and maybe they'll feel a little humbled by that.
Maybe there's something interesting happening up there.
Something really interesting could be happening. We don't normally record on Fridays, and it is a Friday, so maybe they're having a little party to celebrate. I don't know what, because there's really nothing that I would celebrate right about now.
No.
With everything that's going on in the world, but it sounds like they are having a great time.
They really are having fun up there. They are. But, since we're doing an episode on Sadgati in a couple of days, it's like that background hum of human voices that he really liked as sound.
They're just the constant babble and chatter and all the sounds that come through the cities. Yeah.
I'm trying to make it a good thing.
I know. Yeah, this is like just our leading into the Sadgati episode. We're giving you a taste of the cityscape sounds of Sadgati, but through my apartment.
But what we're really here to do today is just reflect a little bit on our experience with David Lynch and his passing and all of the feelings that we've had, because both of us agreed we have never felt like this before with a public figure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing that really shocked me, was that, like, there are, of course, certainly people that I've been fans of in my life, and the way that I felt when I found out yesterday, I was getting coffee with a friend, and I checked my phone because I went to go show her something on my phone, I had a picture of, and I had all of these messages flooded my phone through so many different apps, like text and Facebook and Instagram, so many people messaging me being like, I'm so sorry, I just thought of you, did you hear yet? And it literally felt like, I feel like so many movies do this, where there's a scene where somebody gets some crazy news and it goes to that deafening hum and buzzing in your ears, that high pitch, and then they pass out, and that's literally how I felt. And I just started crying, and my friend had to walk me home, and I spent the rest of the night in bed with PBR and rewatching Wild at Heart to cheer myself up. So yeah,
it's wonderful.
Yeah, but it's just I don't think I mean, I think maybe the closest one would maybe be when Bowie died.
That's me
I
too.
was really heartbroken, and I feel like a lot of people had messaged me being like that they were like, I haven't felt this way since Bowie died. And
But this is way worse.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like even like when Bowie died, like I think I might have cried, but I don't think that it was like this. I really like, I think that for me, David was very much like a stand-in for my granddad after he passed away. And my granddad was like my best friend, and David reminds me so much of him, and like their sense of humor and the way that they move through the world, the kindness that they have towards others, things like that. And it felt like losing my granddad all over again. You know, obviously we all kind of knew that this day would come eventually, but I think any time that I had thought about it and how I might process it, it still never really, I never expected that it was gonna like really hit me this way. I knew I would be upset, but I didn't know it was gonna crush me.
Absolutely. And I didn't expect it this soon.
No, me either.
Yeah. I mean, we just started this podcast in May.
Right.
And in May, we spent our whole first episode talking about why we love David Lynch so much.
Right.
And I feel like we're going to be repeating ourselves so soon,
Right.
you know, in this episode. But it's, I found out from you.
Yeah.
Which was perfect
Yeah,
for
I
me.
texted you immediately. You were the first person I
Yeah,
messaged.
and I was teaching, and it came through on my watch, and luckily it was right at the end of the day, and so I was able to say, "Oh, excuse me, everyone,
Yeah.
I have something to process," and then got nothing done for the rest of the workday.
Yeah.
After my last class was gone, and my comfort yesterday weirdly was like scrolling on Blue Sky
Yeah.
and places like that, and just reading other people's comments, memories, reflections, and other people like us who didn't know him. Just the deep feelings that people were having, even who didn't know him personally or have any interaction with him. It made me feel so much less alone and less strange
Yeah.
for the intense feelings I was having.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it is so strange when it's someone that you've never actually met or talked to, but you have these feelings. Like, again, like it felt like a member of my family had died. And it was like part of the intense emotions of yesterday, I think, was just coming to terms with that, almost just being like, oh wow, I really feel this way about someone that I've never met. But I think what did really help me, and I think it helped a lot of people, was I remember what, like after my granddad died, one of the big like family gatherings afterwards was for my cousin's wedding, and I have this really fond memory of at some point in the night, like, you know, after the wedding, like during the reception and everything, my family and I, like my immediate family and I, we were all kind of sitting off to the side. We all had like a table together, and we all just kind of went around. My granddad loved jokes, and he had some real zingers, and I think he and David would have been best friends. And like it was just those very like, you know, sweet old time kind of vibes. And we were all going around just sharing what our favorite ones were, because he would repeat a lot of them. And then, you know, the next thing we knew, we were all laughing. It started off so somber that we were just like, we wish that Granddad was here. He would have been so happy to have been here. And then it turned into, remember that one?
Right.
Remember that joke? Oh man, remember that? And then just like funny stories that he had told us, or, oh, did he ever tell you guys about that one time that he did this and stuff? And because like, I don't know, I feel like kind of how David talks about in Room to Dream. It was like back in the day, you could really get it to some hijinks without like getting caught. You and your
Yes.
friends could make like bombs and blow up pools and stuff. Like, I don't know, just like silly stuff. And he used to tell us a lot of stories like that too, with like him and his friends when he was growing up. And I feel like that's kind of the tone of today. What got me through a lot of today was like sharing funny stories with friends of like, oh, did you ever see like that interview where he said that, or
Yeah.
like people sharing quotes. And I think that's kind of what we wanted to do with this episode, was like talk about that kind of stuff.
Yes, yes, because we've already been chatting that way
Yeah.
even before we turned the microphones on. And yeah, I feel really, I was processing like, why am I so emotional here? Obviously, this is a big part of our lives. This is like a passion project for us, having this podcast and thinking about all things David Lynch all the time. But I got into David Lynch's films like in midlife. You know, where a lot of people I was reading said like, oh, I watched Blue Velvet when I was 10 and
Yeah, right.
it changed my life. I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
I mean, I had seen David Lynch's films much younger, but for me, it was as if like when I was approaching like midlife years, I thought like my personality is what it is. Like I kind of know who I am and life is very stable.
Whoa.
Yeah. The honk was exactly what happened.
So shocked at you.
And also a good metaphor for what happened to me when my life
Yeah.
I thought everything was stable and normal, and then life was like honk.
Yeah. He was like, woo.
And it was like suddenly not.
Yeah.
It was not at all, and I felt really destabilized. And it has a happy ending, but for a long time I was like, who even am I? And how do I put back the pieces of what I thought I was for all these decades?
Yeah.
And it was at exactly that same time that I was getting into David Lynch. And so I was thinking today, was it the comfort of the questions?
Yeah.
You know, like I had lived so much of my life thinking, I have answers.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I realized those answers had been false all along.
Yeah.
And now I was finding comfort in an artist who was indulging questions for their beauty and the mystery for its own sake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really love that happened at the same time for me, you know, and it became a comfort and a source of hope. And, you know, it inspired both of us to get into transcendental meditation.
Yeah.
And that's been really life-changing.
Right.
So I feel so much gratitude today, too, you know?
Right.
And we're not the only ones. This
Yeah.
is what everyone is expressing. Artists,
Right.
other filmmakers, ordinary people.
Yeah.
You know, what an incredible legacy, not only for the art that David Lynch produced, but for the lives he touched in his inner circle and then in circles of people who just met him a few times, and then this wide world
Right.
of people who are deeply feeling his loss and have all of these beautiful experiences or revelations or whatever that we can attribute to this man who was thousands of miles away from us.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like I think of him very much as like he's your favorite director's favorite director. Like he touched the lives of so many people in the arts in so many ways. I feel like so many artists I know or know of are like constantly referencing him because he's also just he's such a champion of like being true to your art and not compromising and making the things that you actually want to make even if it doesn't make you money. which is, we're going to talk about a bit like when we do our Jacques Tati episode, because that's a huge similarity between them. And I feel like he picked that up from Tati, and I feel like a lot of other people have picked that up from him, where it's like, God, just make the art, like make it for the sake of making it. Don't care about what other people think of it or how it's going to be received by others. Don't think about how much money it's going to make, just like make it for the sake of making it so that you can get it out of you. It's like these, visions that have come to him and so many dreams and meditations and things. He wanted to share them with the world, and we're so grateful he did. So it's like, what's the worst thing that could happen if you do?
At the beginning of Self-Reliance by Ralph Waldo Emerson, he defines genius as to believe your own thought, to believe what is true for you in your private heart is true for all men. That's genius. And then to act on it. Right?
Yeah.
So to think like, this vision I have, this dream I have, this will resonate with everyone.
Yeah.
This will be true for everyone. This like deeply personal, private experience deserves a public platform,
Right,
for everyone else to share, and it will connect with them in some way. That kind of confidence, and that's what Lynch did. That's why we say there's not going to be another David Lynch, because there is only one
right,
person with that particular genius,
yeah,
that version of genius. So that's what hurt, I think, yesterday. It's like I could visualize the period, the full stop at the end of the sentence, and I didn't want the sentence to end.
I mean, because I think that there's so many things that a lot of us were hoping, we were like, well, while he's still here, maybe he'll make this, maybe he'll do more stuff, maybe he'll make more. I mean, like, we think about like Miyazaki, he's always like, I'm retiring, and then he's like, I can't stop, and I think that a lot of us had those feelings about David Lynch as well, where it was just sort of like, okay, he's as long as we got him, he's going to keep probably putting out more and more incredible things that are going to change our lives. And, but it's just like, there's something about David that he welcomes you in so much. He's so warm and kind. And like things like his weather reports and things like that. It's like, he made everyone feel so seen and so welcome in his life. Through the way that he moved through the world and the way he interacted with fans and stuff, and it really made you feel like he was a part of your life, like that he was a very real, tangible presence. Like, I would listen to the audiobook for Room to Dream as just like a comfort. I was talking with someone today that was saying like they'll rewatch The Art Life as like a comfort, just to hear his voice and just see him interacting with you and stuff. And it's like, I just totally get that. It's just really, I don't know, it was just such a special way to be in the world. He's so, because I feel like Miyazaki's like a very reserved person, like, doesn't interact a lot outwardly. And that's just, it's something that's so special about David, is he, and I think we've talked about it in the past, you get a lot of the idea from Room to Dream that it's a lot of his upbringing, and like Good Times on Our Street and things like that encouraged him to really be such a warm, outgoing person in that way.
And it was also authentic. I think, in our kind of influencer era and like the parasocial relationships that people develop with online personalities, that feels very kind of deliberately manipulated or encouraged by people who are maybe seeking to profit off of it or just for popularity or whatever. But that was never the case with David Lynch. He wasn't trying to create a fandom. No. We all were just drawn to his natural, authentic warmth, like moths to the flame, right? And here we all are, like humming around. And he attracted such wonderful people.
Yeah.
That's something, for me, every time I've had like kind of a special interest or been interested in a particular artist or musician, I've always braced myself for that moment when I am disappointed.
Yeah.
And then I am prepared to decide how much I'm willing to reconcile my disappointment with my love of the art or whatever. That moment never came with David Lynch.
Well, think about like Neil Gaiman right now.
Yes.
It's like I was such a huge fan, and that was devastating news. And meanwhile, you have David, who every woman that ever worked with him was like, I was so in love with him. He was wonderful.
Right. And the more I learned about David Lynch, the deeper my affection for him and his work grew, because instead of being disappointed, I just saw more and more goodness.
Right.
And kindness and warmth and concern for other people, empathy. All those things we sense in his work. It didn't seem to just be art.
No, it was a part of his soul. And it's like, it was this authentic kindness that drew everyone to him. And it's like, you can tell so much about someone's character based on the people that they surround themselves with and the people that, speak highly of them. And David was never short on supply with those. It was, Room to Dream is just such a lovely read, because you get to see, like, I think that was like the moment where I had already loved him so much and been a huge fan, but that was the moment where I was like, you are just an amazing person. Oh my gosh. Like, all of these people speak so highly of their experiences with you. I was talking about it with a coworker today, that I think honestly the only like kind of negative thing some people had to say was just like, and he would comment on it himself, was he was very self-aware about it, that like he would just sometimes get very into art mode. And kind of tune out to the world around, which is just also a very neurodivergent trait. And because I do it too. I remember being a teenager, and if I would get into like a real art making zone or like writing zone, like I'd have my mom, like knocking on the door being like, it's dinner time, and I'd be like, walk away. I can't talk right now.
Right.
I won't be eating. I'm in the middle of something. And like, I got the sense a lot in Room to Dream that was like the main thing was, it was just like, he'd be like, I know I kind of tune out when I'm in art mode, and not everybody understands that. And it can be hard sometimes. And I think that's also just another like, classic genius trait, is it's
That's
just like
an
you
entirely
get so
forgivable flaw, isn't it? Yeah.
Especially when you're creating such things. But I feel like every like like biopic or something about like a genius or something, it's like there's the classic moment where all of their friends are like, we feel like we never see you anymore. You're so sucked into your work or your art and stuff. And they're like, I just have to make it, or I just have to do it.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
Yeah. And the other way that I sometimes have been disappointed is when I've peeked into fandoms of things that I'm interested in. I feel as though that's ruined some of my special interests in the past. Or at least caused me to kind of just retreat inwards and keep them private. But then eventually they may fizzle out. David Lynch's fandom, Twin Peaks fandom, has only fueled the fires.
We've met so many good people because of it.
We have made wonderful friends because of it. And when we started this podcast, I think we were both worried, like, well, will anyone listen to it?
Right. Number one.
And will they hate us?
Yeah.
Will they say, who are these people? Who do they think they are?
Yeah.
And the opposite has happened. People have been not only welcoming and kind, but also want to want to connect with us,
Yeah.
want to be friends with us. We were just chatting. We just found comments on our Spotify.
Which we
episodes.
didn't know that you could comment on Spotify, and then Hillary found them. And if you are listening, we saw your comments, and they were so nice.
Yeah,
and
we're
really
glad
appreciate
that
it.
you're our Twin Peaks sister.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. We really, like, I mean, that's the thing, is it really, like, I hope that everyone knows that, like, if and when you ever are like, oh, maybe should I message them? Should I comment or something? It really does mean the world to us when you do. We love hearing from our fellow fans. Like, you feel like family to us. And, you know, it's like David Lynch is the patriarch of this family.
Well, that's what I mean, is that because this is the most, I'm not using wholesome in any kind of ironic sense.
Yeah.
It is a genuinely wholesome fandom community.
Yeah.
But also incredibly intelligent.
Yes.
Insightful. It's just fascinating, interesting people, and also so kind, so fun, so friendly, and I feel so privileged, you know, to be kind of part of that, and really lucky. And what kind of great man do you have to be to not only make this wonderful impact on all the people in your life who know you, but then to attract this community of truly beautiful human beings, you know,
and to
into
be
your
a
fandom.
man in power, in a position of power, of like that, you know, having this fandom that is, you know, fawning at your feet. And again, just like Neil Gaiman is one example, but there's so many where it's like there are a lot of men in power that have abused that before, where they have people that are eager to please, eager to impress, and they misuse that. And again, I feel like it speaks volumes that the women that have worked with him speak so highly of him, and of what a kind and gentle and safe man he was to work with. I think that it just says so much. And on that note, I think this is like a nice time to move into like some of our favorite David memories, because one that I know I bring up a lot and I'm never gonna forget is the one with him and Isabella Rossellini on Blue Velvet, where it was like, yeah, like some costume person or somebody, you know, had like mentioned to her like, oh, you should really lose some weight for this role. You know, this would look much better if you were skinnier. And she approached David about it and was like, do you think that I need to lose weight? Do I look bad? You know, and he was like, what? What idiot said that? Like, you look great. Don't change a thing. You're perfect the way you are. And like, I just think about that all the time. Just like, what, in a world of so many weird beauty standards for women, especially coming from men, and especially like male directors and stuff, he was like, what?
Yeah, like that's absurd.
Yeah, he was like, what? You're perfect. And that's why I put you in this role, is because you're beautiful the way you are. So yeah,
Wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed so many of the anecdotes that people are sharing and resharing. And I have one that I haven't seen shared in the past couple of days, or honestly ever. I encountered this really recently in the 1984 book, The Making of Dune by Ed Naha. And so, okay, listeners. So I'm going to read a little bit from this book.
Yes.
So it says, it is decided that during the filming of Dune, the video crew will tape certain messages from director Lynch to the audience. Selections of the taping will be edited into a presentation to be shown at science fiction conventions. Lynch is covered with dirt and grime on the backlot when the video crew approaches him. He nods his head and agrees to their plan. He stops preparing a scene for a moment. He faces the camera and smiles. Hi, welcome to the convention. And then he does it 2 more times. In different circumstances, the video crew comes up and he says, Hi, welcome to the convention. And my favorite is the last one is with Sting. It says David Lynch, Sting, and assorted crew members are hovering around a camera on one of the Arakean sets, setting up a shot. The video crew approaches. Lynch turns around and faces the all-seeing documentary camera. Hi, he smiles. Welcome to the convention.
I feel like if we ever, I mean, who knows? But like, if we were to ever be like guests at like a Twin Peaks convention, we would have to recreate.
Hi.
Okay, so assuming we're like at a table, we're like seated at a table with microphones in front of us. We turn around in our chairs, and then we whip back with a smile and go, "Hi, welcome to the convention."
Okay, listeners. If you happen to have access to the 1984 or whenever video of this happening, this science fiction convention, please post it, tag us in it.
I tried finding any on YouTube and I could not.
That would be amazing. Hi.
Please.
Welcome to the convention. I wish I had been at the science fiction convention.
What I wouldn't give.
Oh, and seen that? Like that big smile and like an earnest face.
Because also assuming you probably don't know who he is. You're probably just like, who? Why is this guy covered in dirt? What's happening?
What did the documentary crew want? Probably, some like insight or some like edgy director talking about like their art.
Hi, I'm David Lynch and this is the making of Dune. And meanwhile they get, hi, welcome to the convention.
Anyway, you can tell that we love this.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, in my household, this has become like our go-to awkward line.
Just run into each other in the kitchen. Hi, welcome to the convention.
Yes, it has been.
I don't really, since I live alone, I don't really have someone I can do that with, but I could do it with the cats.
I think they would enjoy that.
I think like when I walk into the kitchen and they come running in hoping it's time for wet food, I'll be like, hi, welcome to the convention. As I start dishing it out.
Now you have a favorite story from Dune also.
I do. I have seen this floating around the internet over the years, and every time I see it, I like laugh my butt off. So this was from the producer, Rafaela De Laurentiis, and it's just so good. He said, David had no idea why I was calling him. He didn't know Dune. He said, what? June? He thought we were making a summer movie. And I love it because you can picture it. There's no way, if you are a David Lynch fan, you can totally hear it in his voice. You can see him on the phone. Like, he's just like Gordon Cole on the phone, and he's like, what? June? He's just like, huh? A summer movie?
Oh. I would have loved to have seen June.
Yeah.
The summer movie.
June, the summer movie, directed by David Lynch. I feel like I could picture it though. I feel like it would be very like Straight Story vibes. June, a summer movie. Yeah, I just think about it all the time. Anytime I think about Dune, I can't unthink it and I can't unhear it in his voice.
That is fantastic.
To be a fly on the wall for that conversation, to just be the producer on the other end of the phone and be like, no, David, like the book, like the popular book. What? David, what? No, not June.
Welcome to the convention.
Welcome to the convention. Maybe that's how we start our episodes from now on. Hello, listeners. Welcome to the convention.
Well, I have one more quote to share, but mine is a more heartfelt one.
Yeah.
The one that I read last night, reread last night to kind of comfort myself, was from toward the end of Room to Dream, and it's from Robert Forster. Robert Forster said of David Lynch, "There are things we all know that we don't look at very often. Everybody knows some things are eternal. And it isn't names or houses, and it isn't even the stars. We know in our bones there's something eternal, though, and that it has to do with human beings. Whatever David is doing, it is of a higher order, and he may be a portal to the eternal because he asks us to find that connection to the eternal in ourselves. His work suggests that we are not just isolated atoms, and that if we understand that connection to the eternal, we're capable of making better choices. Each individual can pull in a direction, and if enough of us pull in the same positive direction, there is movement that brings humanity along with it. He is leading his audience toward the good. I just felt that so deeply yesterday when I thought about all of the things people were saying and reflecting. And in this particular moment in world American history, it's really nice to think that there were and maybe still are people who are capable of pulling us toward the good, toward better versions of ourselves instead of worse ones. And I feel like David Lynch was that person for a lot of us. He made us better people just by existing in the world. And I'm getting a little choked up right now.
No,
me
too.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing I think that I, like, again, like in that question of why this person that I don't know, that I feel so racked with this grief, it's because he made this world such a better place just by being in it and just being himself wholeheartedly, so earnestly. And I think that, I know that, obviously we know like TM and like a lot of like spiritual stuff was very important to him. And it really showed. He really was such a champion for the light. And I think he exuded such light and warmth and hope and excitement about each and every day, about the world. And I mean, like in the same way that like, his like little weather reports and stuff like those, I talked to so many people that say that that really is like the thing that kept them going for a long time. Or just like his presence on Twitter and stuff, like just the ways that he would just share his again, that like earnest goodness with the world and share his love with the world, and it being so sincere. You could really feel it, and you could really let it move you, and change you. And I think that again, even just like within his friendships and stuff, like we talk so much about how Kyle is often playing versions of David, and when we think about those characters and the goodness within them as well, there's never really going to be another one quite like him, which is, I mean, so many people have been posting that, especially like close friends, and like Mark Frost said something along those lines. Like, we all know that he was so incredibly special. And I think that the one thing that is really, beautiful that we can hold on to is that David very much believed in the soul persisting on. And that's kind of what's been getting me through today, is thinking about the ways that he's still here with us. I've been seeing that, clip from an interview where he was talking about Angelo. Going around.
Still using present tense verbs.
Yeah.
That was something I was struggling with our plan for our next episode.
Yeah.
I was like, do I need to change these verbs?
Right.
Because everything we had written in the notes about David Lynch was in present tense.
Right.
So we'll see. Maybe we'll take his lead on that, the way he spoke about Angelo.
Right.
So.
I mean, I was even trying to catch myself on that today, like as often as possible, to try to like, just keep his spirit with us. And of course he's also just going to live on in the ways that he has inspired so many other artists
Right.
that are going to be putting things out into the world in the years to come. And I'm so excited to see what those people create. I know so many of my artist friends have been, because again, I'm messaging a lot of people yesterday. A lot of them were just saying that, like, they don't think that they would be who they are, and like they don't think that their path in art would be what it is without him encouraging people to be so honest with themselves, and to be so brave and just put their art out there, regardless of whatever the critics think or what's going to sell and stuff. And so many artists have taken that to heart and needed him to say that. They needed someone like David Lynch to be a champion for that,
Yeah.
so that they could become who they are today.
Yeah.
So we are going to wrap up. We just really wanted to put this episode out here just because it felt like the right thing to do. And also, again, there was no way we were going to be able to just talk about Jacques Tati today.
No.
That episode will be coming. We're going to record that a couple days from now, so that'll be out soon.
And if you're looking for some comfort in the
Yes.
next couple of days, he said, David Lynch said of Jacques Tati that he could really dream
Yeah.
in his films. And so if you watch some Jacques Tati films, you'll get to see what David Lynch's dreams look like a little bit.
Yeah.
You'll get to see where he spent some time dreaming. And it's a really joyful place.
Yes, that's the other thing, is it's so fun and lighthearted, and I think it will be a really nice, joyful thing that you can just sort of lose yourself in for a little bit. And again, yeah, like seeing it through David's eyes, as something that he really loved so much. And in the meantime, also, like we so deeply encourage any of you that are listening and seeking like community and camaraderie right now. Please, if you want someone to talk to, please message us or email us. Obviously, we're feeling a lot of similar feelings to you right now. And I think we both have talked about today and yesterday that really, I think the thing that's going to get us all through this is coming together. I think the one sort of beautiful takeaway from this is the way that it's brought, I think, his fans together so much. I've been talking to a lot of friends that I just haven't caught up with in a long time that reached out. They were just like, oh, I was thinking of you. And I think that it's brought a lot of people together in this mutual grieving, but also celebration of his life.
And you can find us on Instagram.
Yes.
At Full Blossom of the Evening. You can email us.
You can email us at fullblossomoftheeveningpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you are getting off of all things meta, you can find me on Blue Sky at floradoraflor.bsky.social.
Well, listeners, we love you all so much. We really do. Again, it feels a lot like this community is a family more than anything. And I know we're all really grieving right now and struggling to sort of come to terms with this loss. So again, like, all we have right now is each other, and we wanted to make this for you.
Yeah, and us. We needed this too.
It is catharsis,
Yeah. So, thank you for listening to The Full Blossom of the Evening. We'll be back later this week.
With some lighthearted Jacques Tati.
Yeah. All that's left to say is...
It was Laura, and she's come to kiss you goodbye.
Goodbye, listeners.
Goodbye.